All right, here we go. For real this time.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lana.
I'm Dave.
This is Lucas.
Welcome to our Newtless review
Of...
What
what the hell? Madam Web.
Madam Web.
Newt's not with us tonight because he's still on his Godzilla -1 apology tour.
Yes.
So we're going to try to do this on our own. But I have not been in any of the recent reviews because I went blind in one eye right before Christmas. My retina detached, so I had to have surgery. And so tonight for fun, we saw a movie about a woman who goes blind.
Yeah.
And that was great.
That's how I do romance, people.
So this movie was awful. I mean,
I think
get to it.
Well, I don't want to go into hyperbole, but I think when Nikola Tesla said, "You will live to see man-made horrors beyond your comprehension," and I can't comprehend this movie, I think he was talking about this movie.
Yeah, this movie was a fucking mess. Now, from what I understand, the script had been changed over and over. It probably wasn't even that good to start with, but it sounds like there was a lot of interference and just all kinds of meddling, which is unfortunate because one thing I will say is that the film had a very strong cast, a very charismatic cast. I like Dakota Johnson. Dave thought it was Dakota Fanning up till about 3 minutes ago.
I totally did. I didn't know they're different people, actually.
And, you know, she was good. Adam Scott was good. The girls were good. Like, it's just a shame it was kind of wasted on that piece of shit. But, and there were just so many questions that I had that, you know.
Well, I think if you step back and realize that the movie is actually a 2-hour public safety warning about handling of fireworks, you will understand. If you look at it from the lens of a public safety film, it's actually quite good.
Yeah, it's like those old British PSA, don't fool fireworks, and this thug throws a firework right at a girl's face. Like, she starts screaming. It's so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah, so I don't see how we can talk about the movie without going to spoilers, but yeah.
Well, who cares? Nobody's gonna see it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because there was 3 other people in the theater.
Yeah, it was funny because the guy behind us, there was 8-10 people in the theater, and we all sat like right in the center in those 3 rows. Like Dave and I were in one row, the other 4 people behind us, and then like some people behind them. And the guy behind us made a joke about how like the 12 people in the theater are all sitting right in the center, like you know, like
There's safety in numbers.
And yeah, so it starts out with Madam Web's mom is down in the jungle looking for a special spider. They never explain who her father is, so I'm assuming the mom is a hoe. Because they don't really talk about that, but she needs a spider urgently, and there's this guy who's like her security guard, I guess, and he has an umbrella, so I was thinking that Rihanna song was going to play, but then I was like, oh, it's 1973, we can't do that. So this guy, for some vague reasons, you know, is just using her to get the spider, so once she finds it, he's going to kill her, and he tries to... And then she's dying, but these weird spider people come out of trees and save her. Well, not save her. I'm sorry. Forgive me. They save her baby. They let her get bit by the spider because it has some sort of like what the fuck?
It's
peptide.
magic.
I don't know.
It's
it's got something in it that helps save this baby.
Yeah.
And so the father, the spider guy from the jungle, as he's holding the baby right before the mom dies, he's like, don't worry, someday she'll come looking for answers and I'll be here. And I'm like, and then her mom dies, and I'm like, okay, why don't you guys just raise the baby?
But they instead send it to New York.
Somehow the baby gets sent to New York.
By a tribe. Oh, I want to talk about the tribe, though, because they dress like Spider-Man if Spider-Man made his outfit out of like vines and stuff.
Spider-Man or Tarzan.
Yeah.
This would be, that's what
and that was like everyone in the movie, once you get spider powers, you instantly have to make a Spider-Man-like suit, which is very weird. Like they all follow the same motif. Yeah,
so she ends up in New York, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, then cut to 20 years later, or 30 years later.
Yeah, and it takes place in 2003. I thought it would have been funnier if it took place in 2001, in like August 2001. So at the end, the end credit, the post-credit scene would be like September 11th. Like, I'm glad that nothing else bad's going to happen.
That was clearly the worst thing that's going to happen in New York this year. boy.
So, yeah, she's in New York. She's like a paramedic of some sort with Adam Scott, he's Uncle Ben,
Yeah.
for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
And since legally they can't use a lot of these characters' names, there's a conversation that Dakota Johnson Fanning has with him where she says, "Oh, I see you're dating somebody, and it sounds like you're getting really serious. What's her name?" And he just stares at her, smiling, but he can't say her name. And I thought it'd be funny if he was like nodding to the calendar, like
over
over there. Look at the calendar. Look at
Just,
look at
apparently,
the month we're in.
Ben is a generic enough name he can be in the movie, but May isn't.
right. Or somebody should have put on that NSYNC song. It's gonna be May.
Yeah. Oh man.
So then they're friends, and then he's talking about his brother's wife's having a baby, and there's some baby shower, and obviously it's gonna be Peter Parker's parents.
But they can't say Peter Parker. Like, what's the baby's gonna be named? Is it gonna be Steve? No.
Is it gonna be
Guess again.
Is it gonna be Lamont?
No.
So that's a whole weird thing.
That actually was probably the worst part of the movie for me, was when they kept stopping dead to like dance around Spider-Man stuff without saying Spider. Like that just shouldn't have been. Just don't put it in there. It's okay.
Right.
Just not do it.
Right. Yeah. So then what happened after that?
She. There's a weird car accident on a bridge where she gets into the car, and she gets the guy who's trapped in the car out of the car, but the car falls in the water, and it causes her to have like crazy visions of the future.
Oh, that's right.
And
she
so,
starts dead zoning.
Yeah, she dead zones. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. And then she wakes up and it's like, what, when am I? What's going on? And Uncle Ben is like, knock it off. And then what happened after that?
And then she can see the future like a few minutes ahead of time.
Yeah.
And so she starts to kind of, I don't know, she starts to realize there's that spider guy who killed her mom, who is also used the spider, so I guess he could live longer. And
oh yeah, okay. So there's a sequence where the first time she sees a friend of hers get in a car accident, and then she tries to stop it, but she can't, and he gets in a car accident anyway. And then a pigeon flies into her window and dies, which sucks if you've ever had that happen. That's depressing. But this time she opens the window and saves the pigeon, so now she realizes she can change the future. So cut to, she's on the subway, and a spider person shows up in her visions and kills people on the subway, and then she tries to save people.
Yeah, well, there's these three girls who she's, I guess, seeing them. These three girls are going to become some kind of comic book characters I never heard of or gave a fuck about. And so the spider guy is going to go back in time, try to kill them like the Terminator. So then she's having these visions, I guess, where she has to go save these girls.
I think, well, it was because he was having dreams that these three girls were going to kill him. Mm-hmm. So his plan brilliantly was to kill them.
Yeah, like I just like the Terminator.
Right. Mm-hmm. But it's, I mean, it just seemed like, it's very much like if he just didn't do that, he would be okay. But instead he goes on killing spree, as you do. Killing spree makes sense.
I don't know. I guess, did he have... It's not even worth talking. It's just so fucking stupid.
His logic didn't make sense to me. None of the logic made sense.
So he hires somebody, like the most unpopular cast member from the show Girls, to be like the one who's like surveilling them, and was that a word, surveilling? Doing like spying on them, trying to find them, and it's just so cheesy. I don't even know where to be. It's so bad.
Yeah, actually, this is a very rare time where you see the guy on computer role that's in many superhero movies isn't working for the good guy, they're working for the bad guy.
Mm-hmm. And then so
not that matters.
So Dakota Johnson kidnaps the girls, puts them in the woods, and tells them, stay here until I figure things out. Am I making this up? And then
where were the woods in New York City? Because they drove like 2 minutes and they're in the woods. How did that happen?
They went from the subway to the woods. And then she's like, I'm going to go home and figure it out. I need 3 hours. I'm like, how do you know you only need 3 hours? I can't figure this out. and it's gonna take me years to figure this movie out. So I don't know how 3 hours.
In the post-credit scene, they all test positive for Lyme disease, by the way.
So while she's gone, she's like, "Don't do anything stupid." So of course they're like, "We don't need this." So they like, we're like, "We're gonna go do our own thing." So they end up at a diner, and then they start dancing to a Britney Spears song
on a table.
On a table,
which is not as cool as it sounds.
Not as cool. And especially because Sydney Sweeney's boobs are hidden through the movie if you're into Sydney Sweeney and her boobs, so you're not going to get to see that. So Dakota Johnson's going through mom's diary, and she's like, "Ooh, peptides. A lot of use of the word peptides."
Yeah.
And then she figures something out, and she runs back to get these girls, and then she's upset because they're not in the woods where she left them, and she has to go find them at the diner. It's like literally 1 minute away from the woods. And then she's got to kidnap him again. And she's like, "You're risking your life."
Yeah, the guy showed up the killer showed up the diner and
whoever he was.
Yeah, and she runs over him with the car.
Yeah.
Which he's very resilient for recovering from that.
Mm-hmm. I did fall asleep during parts of this movie, so Dave will have to take over.
Okay, so then she takes him to a sleazy motel. So,
yeah, because apparently they all have like broken home lives. But even still, even if you have like the shittiest home life, somebody's parents, at least one of their parents is gonna be like, where's my whatever shit, my daughter, my
it's
big
cool.
daughter.
I'm at this sleazy hotel with this woman I met today.
It's
fine.
I'm in the hotel with the woman from 50 Shades of Grey. What could possibly go wrong?
Yes. Yeah. So she goes to the hotel. Mm-hmm. So then she has a scene where she has a vision that she goes back to the diner and has a conversation with the killer, except she then decides not to do it in real life, but it's just so that they can talk. It was so weird because it's like, well, does he know they had that conversation if it didn't happen?
Yeah.
Because she chose not to do it. But anyway, he dumps a bunch of exposition on her about how he wants to kill them, which we already knew. Then, oh my God, so then she drops the kids off with Uncle Ben and says, "Hey, can you watch them for like a week while I go to the Amazon?"
And he's like, all cool with you, like, "No questions asked, absolutely." I'm like, "What?"
So you want me to watch
crazy?
these
I don't know who
kids
these kids are
that the newspapers are saying you kidnapped?
Yeah, because that's all over
while
the news.
you flee the country.
So she can go to Peru to find out what happened in the jungle with her mom.
Story checks out.
And
I'll
then,
see you in a week.
This is, I think, the funniest scene in the movie. She goes to the jungles of Peru, and then she's like telling them, "I'll be back in a week." So she knows, and somehow like the 3 hours, and she only needs a week to figure out what happened in Peru. I don't even know how you get on it. You get on a plane, like, and then you fly there, and then there's all this. It's not like you just land there in 2 hours and you get. But in this movie, it is. You get to Peru real quick. You go through jungle. You happen to go to the exact spot in the jungle where all this shit happened, and then the leader of the spider people who saved her, he just pops out of nowhere. He's like, "I knew you'd be back." Like, he's been waiting there for 34 years for her. Like, I knew. It kind of reminds me of Rambo too, even though that's a much better movie. I love Rambo too, but it's still ridiculous. But there's that scene where that bad guy leans up against a tree, and it happens to be the one tree in the jungle that Rambo's in. Kills the guy.
That happens to Rambo and Jason Voorhees a lot.
Yeah. So this guy, then he explains stuff to her. It still doesn't make any sense. Yeah. And then she always thought her mom hated her.
Oh, yeah.
For I don't know why, because her mom went to the jungle like when she was in her last stages of pregnancy, and she thought her mom didn't care about her. She was more into her career, I think, or fine. And then she finds out like she had some fucked up birth defect or something that her mom needed to get the spider peptide.
Trying to invent a cure by going to the Amazons.
Yeah, and even still, like, it would take forever. You don't just find a spider, make a cure. It takes years. Fucking years to make these cures and medicines, vaccines. It's just so weird.
So anyway, so then she goes back to New York.
Yeah, and then she's all done with that in 5 minutes.
Having successfully fled, child endangerment and kidnapping charges, she decides to go back to the country. I guess to face the law. Mm-hmm. So what happens then? Oh. While she's on the way to the house, to Uncle Ben's house, Mrs. Parker.
Oh yes, so Uncle Ben's babysitting the 3 girls, and then Mrs. Parker goes in labor. Mrs. Parker's played by Emma Roberts, who I never understood why she has a career. She has no talent. I guess because her aunt's Julia Roberts. Because Eric Roberts, he's a great actor, but he doesn't have much pull in Hollywood. But Julia Roberts does, so I'm assuming that's why Emma Roberts has a career. Because she's like watching paint dry. She fucking sucks. I don't understand it. So she's in it, and so her water breaks, and for some reason her husband's not in it, and they're just. I don't know. They're like, where's he off to this time? No, he went to this country to do this thing, and I'm like, what is going on? So Uncle Ben's got, in addition to raising these kids, Uncle Ben's got to go take her to the hospital, and I'm like, when does Uncle Ben get time for Uncle Ben?
Yeah, you know? Uncle Ben. When's he going to start his rice empire?
Yeah.
this is the backstory we're looking for.
Or build his big clock.
Yeah, build his big clock. Or make friends with Willard.
Yeah. So then Dakota Johnson comes back from where the hell is she? Oh, in Peru or whatever. She comes back. Nobody's home. She can't get in the house, so like she looks through the window and she sees a pool of water, and automatically she makes a connection. Oh, her water broke, so I'm going to the hospital. So she steals an ambulance. I'm not even kidding. Go to the hospital, and then this is where I really started falling asleep. So I'll let you take it.
Okay. So she has a vision on the way to the hospital that the killer, I don't know the character's name. He's just the killer. Bad Spider-Man. Blows the kids up and Uncle Ben up in the car on the way to the hospital. So using her psychic powers, she drives her stolen ambulance through a building, and then again lands on the killer for a second time with an ambulance, and he recovers from that fairly well. But anyway, manages to save their lives, and then they kind of have their big showdown. Oh. Okay, so then they have their big showdown. So she, in order to beat him, she lures him into a fireworks factory, which goes into the whole safety with fireworks things. And her plan for defeating him is her and the other spider girls, each grab road flares and throw them in boxes of fireworks, and then start running while all these fireworks are exploding and going off. And but she can psychically know where not to stand before getting hit with flaming fireworks that keep hitting this evil Spider-Man.
Yeah. I was going to say they should play that Katy Perry song, but then I realized 2003. I keep jumping ahead.
Yeah.
But again, the movie made no sense. They might as well put the fucking song in there. So I woke up just as the firework was going off in her face. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is, because, in the comic, I knew nothing about this character. I had to look it up, but apparently she's an old blind woman she's psychic. And it's, and the studio's like, oh, we have to get like a hot chick to play for an origin story.
Yeah.
And I think it's just funny because if you make a good movie, it won't matter if the character is old. Like, people want to see a good movie. They're very hungry for a good movie because I don't know if you've noticed, there's a severe lack of good movies. So,
okay. So before the fireworks go off in her face, she lures the killer. Is his name Ezekiel? I think his name is Ezekiel.
Maybe.
She lures him up to the roof where she has a vision that the fireworks are going to knock the letter P off of the Pepsi sign.
Because product placement.
She lures him so he's standing right there under the P when it happens. And that's how
he's standing under the P.
Yeah, so having an ambulance land on top of him didn't kill him or seriously injure him. Being hit with a taxi cab didn't kill or seriously injure him. But the letter P from a billboard, done. So then she falls in the water, and as she falls in the water, fireworks go off in her face.
And then she's blind.
And she's pretty happy about that. But.
And then I woke up right when she's gone blind, and then she ends up adopting these 3 teenagers, which is batshit crazy because she doesn't have a lot of money, and now she's blind and she can't work, but somehow she's gonna have money to take care of these girls. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? That makes no sense. And not only that, but they try to do this thing like The Sentinel, where now she's like a blind woman who sits looking out the window. You remember that movie, The Sentinel? And she's all happy about it. She's smiling. Like, she's like, this is great. I have these kids I can't afford, and I'm blind. I'm looking out the window. This is cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was a weird ending. There was also the part in the ending when, and I may be making this up, when they bring the baby to Mrs. Parker, and it's a boy, and he's got an enormous penis. And one of the Spider-Women says, "Wow, that's an impressive Peter your son has, Mrs. Parker." And then the Disney lawyers walk in the room and serve a cease and desist right there for saying Peter and Parker too close together.
Boy, this movie was terrible.
Yeah.
But again, a waste of talent because there's a lot of people in it I like.
Mm-hmm. We saw it in IMAX.
We saw it in IMAX because we hate ourselves. But I just like the seats in IMAX because they're like leather and not like, because I'm terrified of bed bugs, so that's why I hate seeing movies in like theaters, something like those cloth seats because they're always so skanky looking, and I'm just like, oh god, I always feel like I'm very OCD, by the way.
Yeah, I think so. You do finally see the girls in the outfits that are in all the trailers and commercials for like a split second.
Oh yeah.
At the very end of the movie, she has like a vision of their. She's like, what? I can't even. It was so stupid. It was like, oh, are we good or something? It's like, I know you're gonna be great and you're gonna do all this great, and then she has like a quick flash of them actually in the outfits that are in all the trailers and posters and everything.
That you barely see. And I saw a making of thing on, I guess it was on like Facebook or something, where Sydney Sweeney was very excited because she saw that her character does this thing where she like comes down from the ceiling upside down in the comic books. So they showed that scene. She's like, I begged them to put in a scene where I come down from the ceiling upside down, kind of, like an acrobat. And then that scene doesn't happen. You just see her upside down head, but you don't see like her whole body coming down. So I'm like, oh, I wonder if she was pissed about that because it seemed like something she really wanted, to put in.
Yeah.
God forbid the character have like a special trait, or I don't know what the word is, but something to be like, here's my big entrance.
Yeah, when they show all their outfits, they're cool, but like it's for a split second, so what's the point? I don't know.
There is a horrible cheesy scene at the end where they're all in their outfits. I think, were they in their outfits?
Right.
And I know Dakota Johnson was their official Madam Web costume, but it looked like somebody superimposed it later. Like, why don't we take that scene and then we'll Photoshop it on top of the three girls where she's like flying over them to the Cranberry song that I don't know the name of.
Oh yeah, Dreams or something like that. Yeah. And that was the very end. That was how it ended.
It was so bad.
With the Cranberries.
Yeah.
Because it was 2003. Yeah.
So
it was a frustrating movie.
Yeah. I mean, we don't mind going to see bad movies as long as they're entertaining, and I feel that this one was entertaining in that sense. Because my only thing is I don't like seeing a boring movie. That's my. I think that's the biggest sin you could ever commit for me is being boring. So I will say it was entertainingly bad, but it's just a very sad missed opportunity for something could have been a fun movie.
Yeah, and it was the whole time you're watching it, I was just thinking of like things you could do to make it better because there's so many scenes like stopping dead to avoid.
Well, how about making a more serious movie? Make it maybe rated R, have it be scarier, because it seemed like it started off kind of maybe as a horror movie-ish type of thing, and then went in a wacky direction. But if you're gonna put in some creepy subway scenes, do it like Dress to Kill or something like that.
Yeah. I would think consolidate the three Spider girls into one character because none of them get any time, so you don't get to know them. But if you had one, maybe it would work a little better, where you get to know her a little better. Because they're all the same character. They all have mysteriously missing parents. They're gonna be spider people, and that's kind of all you know about them. I don't know.
So, I don't really know what else to say. It was a fucking mess. I feel bad for Dakota Johnson. I do like her, and I hope she gets better work because this was just abysmal.
Yeah. But at least it was. I mean, it was only 80 million. So I mean, at least you don't. Because a lot of the Disney movies here, they spent like 300 million. Like, what are you? That's got to be money laundering, right?
It's got to be.
Like, but this was 80 million. Like, yeah, it looks like an 80 million movie. But like, when you hear the Indiana Jones budget, I'm like, what's going on there? That's shady. Because you're not seeing that money on screen.
So I don't know what else to say.
We should do a special video on money laundering in the movie industry.
Because usually by this point, Newt's here all riled up, like having a stroke, So
yeah, honestly, this whole review is really awkward because like I feel like I should be behind you.
Yeah.
Like I should be back there, so it's throwing me off. I hope that's not throwing anyone else off either.
Yeah. So, I guess that's it. I don't know.
Yeah,
Do you have
that's
anything?
it.
I wish I had something else to say. But there's nothing else to say. It's just a terrible movie.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but the other people in the theater were talking quite a bit.
Oh yeah, they were like talking like there wasn't even a movie going on.
Yeah,
And I didn't even
like,
get mad because I'm like, well,
yeah.
that's more interesting than what's going on the screen.
If I had enjoyed the movie anymore, I'd have been like really pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Like even slightly, because that's normally very good. But it didn't bug me at all because I'm like, whatever. Like they're talking like they're in their living rooms, like just having conversations. I'm like, whatever, have fun. Glad you're having fun.
So yeah, thumbs down, thumbs down.
Yeah, thumbs down.
So hopefully we'll see Newt again for a future review.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I miss Newt. I haven't seen him in a long time.
So yeah. Well, our schedules are just very different, but hopefully we'll catch up with them. And well, thank you guys for watching this. I know when it ends, I'm gonna think of other funny things I wanted to say, but it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I have to get up at 6 a.m.
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to keep talking because the dog has my arm pinned down, so I can't hit the stop
And I'm
button.
not drunk enough right now to think. Oh, there he goes.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.